Hello YouTube, this is Michael with Victory Engineering. Today we are motor tuning in Mach 3. This is our CNC router. It's about 4 feet by 4 feet working volume, and we're trying to tune the motors. I noticed the other day as the initial setup of our new machine that I laid a 48-inch tape out, started the spindle at 0, zeroed out my y-axis in Mach 3, and by the time my bit got to 48 inches on the other end of the table, Mach 3 only thought it was at 43.7. So I knew that I needed to come up with a way to accurately tune these motors. And so this is what I've got. Got a set of 60-inch dial calipers. Obviously these are not something run down to Ace Hardware and grab for $29.99, but we had a machinist friend that let us borrow them. We also have a fixture block that he let us borrow. That's a known distance of 1.008 inches. I set these calipers to an arbitrary number that was close to the max of our table. That was at 39 inches exactly. And then I measured the thickness from here to here to be 1.775. And that's because we are using a perpendicular dial indicator chucked up in a 1/4 inch ER20 collet. So what we'll do is we'll come from the outside of our calipers, come to the inside. That's really our theoretical 0, so we've got to travel 1.775. Then we travel the full 39 inches and then subtract out 1.008. So the distance in between this edge and the edge where our caliper or dial indicator will touch off is, after some mathematical equations using chicken scratch writing, 39.767 inches. Our machine set up in millimeters, so that's 1010.082 millimeters. So here's how I had to do this. I had to think about it, a couple trial and error methods, and here's what we got. So I'm going to go to Mach 3. I'm going to hit tab for my MPG mode, go down to jog, hit step, and I'm going to hit the forward arrow until I come right up to 0 on my dial indicator. I know I'm real close to it. There it goes. It's starting to move. One more. I went past it. All right, let's back up. Got some backlash that I'll be tuning next. All right. So we are right at 0. You can see if the camera will focus. There we go. We're at 0. So what I will do is I will zero out my y-axis. I happen to be at 0 because I'm already tuned in with my motors, but I'll go through the paces nonetheless. So I'm now going to bring my spindle up. I happen to know that a jog in the Z direction, G1 is translate linear. Z25 will bring my dial indicator up high enough to go over the calipers. So you can see that I wanted the dial indicator depressed a little bit, so you can see if it'll focus here that I'm now out to about 87, which means I'm about 13 thousandths under 0. So what I will do now, I've zeroed out my y-axis, is I'm going to translate linearly. Let me get off of step mode, back to jog mode, and I want a feed rate F of, let's do 2,000. Of course I'm in millimeters, so. Alright, so let's translate until we touch off on our block over there. I have a wireless pendant, but the batteries are dead, so I'm going to have to kind of bounce back and forth until I get close here. I don't want to ruin the good man's dial indicator that he's let us borrow. It's a nice one by Starrett. So I'm getting close over there. Okay, let me go over here and take a look. Okay, I'm about ½ an inch or so, so let me jog a couple of times. Okay, let's see how close I am now. Okay, didn't move very much, still about 1/4 inch. So, jog a couple more times. Alright, jogged about 3 times. Let's see how far we are. Okay, definitely being too conservative here, but okay, I jogged 3 times. Let's see how close we are. Okay, we're close now. So now what I'm going to do is maybe just jog one more time. I'm going to go over to jog mode, go to step. As you can see, cycle jog step is 0.1 millimeters. So now that I'm in step mode, each time I hit the key on the keyboard, it's going to step forward 0.1 millimeters. So, doing this from all the way across the table, I'm going to hit the keyboard a couple of times. Dial indicator has not started moving yet. Oh, there it goes. It just moved. Hit it again. All right, I'm right at 0. At least from across the table, it looks that way. Okay, so I'm right at 0, maybe a half a thousandths under, but in a 39-inch span, I can't ask for much more with these stepper motors anyway. So, how much does Mach3 think we've moved? Mach3 thinks we've moved 1010 05029. I'll call it 053 for simplicity. So, Mach thinks we moved 1010 053 millimeters. But we know our actual is the 1010.082 millimeters, measured of course using our dial indicator setup. So what does this mean to us? Well, this means we can use a macro in Mach3. Now we could do a quick ratio and type it in, but you know, we're slave to the computer sometimes, so might as well use what it's got. So let me go back to jog mode. I'm going to bring my y-axis all the way back. Now this next step you can do with the spindle in line with our little block that we have, or you can do it somewhere over here on the table, it doesn't matter. All that's about to happen is we're going to run a macro where you tell Mach3 to move a certain distance, then it says how far did you actually travel. So obviously you measure somehow, which is what we're doing, and it does a quick ratio and tunes the motors in for us. So I will just leave it. I've come back past my Y in the negative directions a little bit, so I know I'm not going to contact my block in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and use this Mach3. So if you go to Settings tab, or Alt-6 is a hotkey, come down to Axis Calibration, Y-axis, and hit OK. Now a dialog box pops up. How far would you like to move the Y-axis? Well, let's move it this 1010.053. So I'm going to type in 1010.053. And before I do this, let me make sure my feed rate, F2000. Pretty sure I typed it in a minute ago, but I want to be sure, because otherwise it will take a long time to get across the table. Alright, y-axis. How far would you like to move the y-axis? 1010.053. Alright, so it's moving. See, it's slowly creeping across the table. Obviously I wanted to try to do this in as long of a distance as possible. So at first I actually started doing just 1-inch increments, this macro that Mach3 has, but I found out through some logical thinking that if I'm a couple thousandths off in 1 inch, at the other end of the table I'm going to be 50 or 100 thousandths off. So it stopped. We know that it moved 1010.053. How far did the y-axis move? Measured value. We know this using our calipers. We know that it moved 1010.082. 1010.082. Enter. It just multiplied it by a quick ratio and says it will be set to 68.28159 steps per unit. Would you like to accept? We hit yes. Y-axis has been set. We now know for sure if we go to config and motor tuning, go to our y-axis, that our stepper motors, there it is, 68.28159. So let's test it. This is the exciting part, the fruits of our labor. Alright, So we will bring back the y-axis manually. I'm in jog mode. Let me get out of jog mode. I heard it click just one time. I want to be in continuous. All right, bringing it back. All right, coming on back. Obviously I could go a lot quicker right now, but with some expensive instrumentation on the table, I'd rather go a little bit slower, considering I'm not in a super big hurry. Should start slowing down soon. There it is. It's reaching our soft limits, 100 millimeter zone. All right, we're past 0. So now what I want to do is I want to drop this thing down to G1Z0. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to creep up on the caliper. Alright, I'm pretty close. I'm going to go back over to step mode now and really creep up on it in 1/10 of a millimeter at a time. So I'm going to hit the keyboard up key. Okay. Oh, there it starts to move. There it is, right on 0. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to 0 my y-axis. I'm going to bring the spindle up vertically 25 millimeters so that my dial indicator clears my calipers. And let's do that. G1Z25. 25. Enter. Alright, I'm at Y0. So what's about to happen is I'm going to type in our known distance in between this edge and that block, which is 1010.082. And what should happen is our dial indicator should bump right up to 0, and that lets us know in this distance that our motors are tuned in exactly to our measured distance. So G1 Y, I don't know how I did that. G1 Y 1010.082. G1 Y 1010.082. And I wonder what my feed rate is. I don't know. I think it should be still at 2000, but sometimes it resets itself. G1 Y 1010.082. Enter. Alright, so here it goes. Traveling across the table. Should touch off on our block, and it should depress our perpendicular dial indicator until the needle reads right at 0. I'm hoping for plus or minus a couple of thousandths. So let's see what happens here. There it is. Let's see what we're at. Dead nuts 0. So this is it. This is how you motor tune with Mach3. Obviously this is our y-axis. I need to do the same with my x-axis and our z-axis, but this is how we're doing it. So hope this video is informative. This is through trial and error and probably 15 hours of figuring out how to do this in Mach3. Now that I know how to do it, it's obviously a lot easier. So maybe you can save some time by just watching a quick 14-minute video. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.